Welcome to the world of science fiction. Don't forget to like and subscribe so you don't miss new stories. Enjoy the listening. First contact and final warning. Alex Chen never expected to make first contact with an alien species while fixing a broken satellite dish in Montana. As chief communications engineer at the Blackfoot Valley Observatory, he'd spent countless nights staring at the stars, wondering if humanity was alone. Now, on a crisp October evening, he found himself face to face with the answer. The alien ship materialized silently above the observatory's main dish, its hull rippling like liquid mercury in the moonlight. Alex froze on his maintenance platform, tool belt dangling forgotten at his waist. The vessel was roughly the size of a city bus, but shaped like a massive teardrop. No visible engines, no seams, just seamless metallic perfection. Well, Alex muttered to himself, either I've finally lost it, or this is about to get really interesting. As if in response, a beam of soft blue light enveloped him. Alex felt a gentle tingling sensation as his feet left the platform. Before he could process what was happening, he found himself in a chamber that seemed to be made entirely of flowing light. Standing before him was a being that defied conventional description. It appeared vaguely humanoid but stood nearly 8 feet tall, with skin that shifted through impossible colors like the surface of a soap bubble. Multiple pairs of eyes arranged in a geometric pattern studied him with unnerving intelligence. Alexander Chen, the being spoke, its voice bypassing his ears and materializing directly in his mind. I am Zar-El, emergency sentinel of the Galactic Concordat. Your species is in grave danger. Alex blinked, trying to process everything at once. You speak English? And know my name? We've been monitoring your species for some time, Zar-El replied. Your digital networks are primitive but informative. I chose you specifically because of your unique position and capabilities. My capabilities? Alex frowned. I fix satellite dishes and occasionally write code for radio astronomy projects. I'm nobody special. The alien's skin rippled with what might have been amusement. You underestimate yourself. Your work on quantum encryption algorithms, though rudimentary by our standards, shows remarkable insight for a species at your development stage. But more importantly, you possess something rare among humans, the ability to accept and adapt to radical paradigm shifts without psychological breakdown. Before Alex could respond, a holographic display materialized between them, showing Earth from orbit. Red points of light began appearing across the globe. In approximately 72 of your hours, Zar-El continued, automated seeders from the Vor'kath Empire will begin depositing terraforming agents across your planet. These bioengineered organisms will begin transforming Earth's atmosphere to suit Vor'kath physiology. Your species will not survive the process. Alex felt his mouth go dry. Why? Why would they do this? The Vor'kath expand constantly, converting habitable worlds to suit their needs. They consider pre-spacefaring species to be irrelevant to their calculations. Under normal circumstances, the Concordat would prevent this, but we are currently engaged in a major conflict in the Andromeda Galaxy. Our resources are stretched thin. So you're here to warn us? Give us a chance to evacuate? Alex's mind raced through possibilities, each more horrifying than the last. Zar-El's skin shifted to deeper, more somber hues. Evacuation is impossible given your current technology level. I am here because I discovered an anomaly in your species' genetic code that suggests you might have a chance to survive. But it will require something unprecedented. The alien gestured, and a complex DNA molecule appeared in the hologram. Hidden within human DNA is a sequence we believed lost eons ago. It was placed there by an ancient race we call the predecessors. If activated, it could trigger an evolutionary leap in your species, allowing you to adapt to the changed atmosphere. But the activation process is dangerous and has never been attempted on a planetary scale. Alex stared at the rotating DNA model, its implications overwhelming. And you need my help with this? I'm not a biologist. No, Zar-El agreed, but you understand complex systems and, more importantly, how to communicate them to others. I cannot interact directly with your governments, it would violate Concordat law. But you can. I will give you the knowledge and tools needed to initiate the activation sequence. You must convince your leaders to implement it worldwide before the Vor'kath arrive. And if I fail? Then humanity ends in 72 hours. The alien's tone was matter of fact. But I have accessed your personal records, Alex Chen. You have never failed when the stakes were high. Alex ran his hands through his hair, mind spinning with possibilities and implications. This is a lot to process. You're telling me that humanity has some kind of ancient alien DNA upgrade just waiting to be activated, and I have 3 days to convince the world's governments to trust me, a random satellite engineer, with the future of our species? Precisely. Zar-El's skin rippled with what might have been approval. Though I should mention one other detail, the activation process will be uncomfortable. Those who survive will be changed in ways we cannot fully predict. Humanity will remain human, but more. Alex laughed, a slightly hysterical edge to the sound. Just to be clear, my options are to either watch humanity suffocate in an alien atmosphere or convince everyone to undergo a potentially painful genetic transformation that will change our species forever. You have summarized the situation accurately. Right. Alex straightened his shoulders, a strange calm settling over him. Then we better get started. First, I'll need proof, something I can show the government that they can't dismiss. Then we'll need a plan to distribute whatever triggers this activation globally in less than 72 hours. And finally. He paused, meeting the alien's geometric gaze. You better tell me exactly what uncomfortable means in this context. Zar-El's skin shifted to a color Alex's human eyes couldn't quite process. I knew I chose correctly. Shall we begin? The next 3 days would determine the fate of humanity. As Alex prepared to return to Earth with knowledge that would reshape civilization, he couldn't help but appreciate the irony. He'd spent his life looking for signs of intelligent life in the stars, only to discover that humanity's salvation lay hidden within their own DNA all along. One last question, he said. Why help us at all? Why risk violating your laws? Zar-El was silent for a moment before responding. Because long ago, my species faced a similar choice. Another race gave us a chance to survive against impossible odds. We call it the chain of uplift. Each species that survives has a moral obligation to help others when possible. Today, humanity joins that chain. As the blue light prepared to return him to Earth, Alex knew his old life was over. The next 3 days would determine whether humanity would survive to thank him or curse his name. Either way, the human race would never be the same. The real work was about to begin. The race against time. Getting arrested was not part of Alex Chen's plan for saving humanity. Yet here he was, 12 hours after his alien encounter, sitting in a Pentagon interrogation room while Earth's countdown to extinction ticked away. Run this by me again, said General Sarah Martinez, her skepticism evident in every line of her face. An alien appeared at your observatory, beamed you aboard their ship, and told you humanity needs to undergo some kind of genetic transformation in the next 60 hours, or we all die? Actually, it's 59 hours and 17 minutes now, Alex corrected, glancing at the strange watch-like device Zar-El had given him. Its crystalline surface displayed a countdown in pulsing alien numerals that somehow made perfect sense to him. And yes, that's exactly what happened. The general exchanged looks with Dr. James Wilson, the NSA's chief scientist, who hadn't stopped examining the small silver sphere Alex had brought as proof. The device, a molecular reconstructor as Zar-El had called it, was currently floating 6 inches above the table, gently rotating. The technology is like nothing we've ever seen, Dr. Wilson admitted, running another scanner over the sphere. The energy readings are off the charts, but it's not radioactive or giving off any harmful emissions. It's just impossible. That's because it operates on principles your instruments can't detect yet, Alex explained, fighting to keep his voice calm. Every minute spent convincing them was a minute lost. Look, I know how this sounds. But that device contains everything we need to know about the activation process, including the distribution method for the catalyst that will trigger our hidden DNA sequences. General Martinez leaned forward. And you expect us to just take your word that this won't kill everyone? That we should expose the entire human race to some alien genetic modifier? No, Alex said firmly. I expect you to verify everything I'm saying. That's why the device contains detailed scientific data about the process. But we need to do it quickly. The Vor'kath seeders won't wait for us to finish peer review. Before anyone could respond, alarms began blaring throughout the building. Dr. Wilson's phone buzzed with multiple incoming alerts. General, he said, face paling as he read the messages, we're getting reports from multiple observatories. There are objects appearing at the edge of the solar system. Hundreds of them, moving at impossible speeds. Alex's heart sank. They're early. The Vor'kath must have accelerated their timeline. He stood up, surprising his guards. We're out of time for debates. Those objects will reach Earth in less than 24 hours now. You need to make a decision. The next few hours were a blur of activity. Once the approaching objects were confirmed by NASA and every major space agency on Earth, the situation shifted from skeptical interrogation to emergency response. Alex found himself in the White House Situation Room, explaining the activation process to a joint session of world leaders conducted via secure video conference. The catalyst needs to be dispersed through the atmosphere, he explained, using holographic projections from the alien sphere to illustrate. It will trigger a cascade reaction in human DNA, activating the dormant sequences. The process takes approximately 6 hours to complete. And the side effects? Asked the British Prime Minister, her face grave on the video screen. Alex took a deep breath. Pain. Significant pain as our bodies adapt. Some may not survive the transformation, the elderly and very ill are at highest risk. But the alternative is certain death for everyone when the atmosphere becomes toxic. China's president spoke next. How can we be certain this isn't a different form of attack? Perhaps these Vor'kath are not real, and this is a trap by other aliens. In response, Alex pressed a sequence on the sphere. A new hologram appeared, showing real-time images of the approaching Vor'kath fleet. The alien ships were massive, biological-looking constructs that seemed to devour space itself as they moved. Because that's what's coming, Alex said quietly. And we're out of options. The decision, when it came, was perhaps the fastest global consensus in human history. Faced with extinction, even the most hesitant nations agreed to the plan. Military aircraft worldwide were loaded with canisters of the catalyst, prepared to create a dispersal pattern that would cover the entire planet. As the planes took off, Alex stood in the Pentagon's command center, watching the coverage begin. The public announcement had gone out an hour ago. Humanity faced extinction and had only one chance at survival. Panic was inevitable, but they hoped people would choose to stay indoors and trust in the process. The first reports of atmospheric changes will start in about 30 minutes, he told General Martinez, who hadn't left his side since the verification of the alien fleet. Once it begins, there's no stopping it. She nodded grimly. How bad will it be? Bad, he admitted. But we'll survive. We have to. He didn't tell her about the other piece of information Zar-El had shared, that humanity's transformation would be more extensive than anyone suspected. The dormant DNA sequences wouldn't just allow them to survive the new atmosphere, they would unlock potential that had been sleeping in their genes for millions of years. The first screams started exactly 27 minutes later. Across the globe, humans began experiencing the initial phase of transformation. Alex felt it too, a burning sensation that started in his bones and spread outward. He gripped the command console as waves of pain washed over him. Through tear-blurred eyes, he watched the global feeds. Despite the agony, most people were holding on, enduring. Human resilience, the trait that had most interested Zar-El, was proving itself again. General, he gasped, as another wave of pain hit, there's something else you should know. When this is over, when we've changed, humanity won't be the same. We'll be more than we were. The Vor'kath think they're coming to terraform a primitive world, but they're about to meet a species that's finally ready to claim its true inheritance. As if to emphasize his point, Alex watched in amazement as his hand began to emit a soft glow, and he felt new awareness blooming in his mind. Around him, others were experiencing similar changes. The transformation had begun, and with it, humanity's last chance at survival had become their first step into a larger universe. The real question was, what would humanity become in the next few hours, and would they be ready for what came next? The evolution revolution. The transformation of humanity took 6 hours, 14 minutes, and 33 seconds. When it was over, Earth would never be the same. Alex Chen watched from the Pentagon's command center as reports flooded in from around the globe. The pain had subsided, replaced by something far more extraordinary. Everywhere, humans were discovering abilities that defied explanation. "Sir," a young lieutenant called out, her skin shimming with subtle bioluminescence, "we're getting reports from all continents. The changes, they're beyond what we expected." Alex nodded, observing his own transformed state with a mixture of awe and trepidation. His consciousness had expanded, allowing him to perceive quantum frequencies that had always been invisible to human senses. Around him, others were displaying different manifestations. Some could manipulate energy, others showed enhanced physical capabilities, and a few demonstrated abilities that defied categorization. "The predecessors didn't just give us the ability to survive a changed atmosphere," he explained to General Martinez, who was experimenting with her newfound ability to generate force fields. "They gave us everything they had. We're becoming what they were." Dr. Wilson burst into the room, his excitement palpable. "The genetic sequencing results are in. The catalyst didn't just activate dormant DNA, it's actively evolving our entire species. Each person's transformation appears to be unique, adapted to their individual genetic potential." But there wasn't time to fully process these changes. The Vor'kath fleet had entered the inner solar system, their massive bioships now visible to conventional telescopes. Humanity had barely hours to prepare for their arrival. "We need to coordinate," Alex announced, activating the alien sphere. "Everyone who can still focus, listen carefully. The Vor'kath don't know we've transformed. That's our advantage. But we need to organize our defense quickly." As if in response to his words, a new ability manifested among the transformed humans, a kind of collective consciousness, allowing them to share thoughts and coordinate actions across vast distances. It wasn't mind reading exactly, but rather a complex network of shared awareness. Through this network, Alex could feel the pulse of humanity's transformation. Millions of minds connected, each bringing unique perspectives and newfound abilities to the collective. It was overwhelming, but somehow manageable, as if their evolved brains had been designed to handle exactly this kind of integration. "The Vor'kath ships will enter Earth's atmosphere in approximately 4 hours, he projected through the network. They'll expect to find a helpless pre-spacefaring civilization. Instead, they're going to find something unprecedented." Around the world, transformed humans began organizing. Those with energy manipulation abilities gathered at strategic points around the globe. Others with enhanced intelligence worked to quickly master their new capabilities, developing tactics and strategies at unprecedented speeds. In orbit, astronauts aboard the International Space Station reported their own transformations had given them the ability to survive in space without suits, their bodies adapting instantly to the vacuum. They began preparing for the first wave of defense. "This is incredible," Dr. Wilson said, reviewing incoming data. "The transformation appears to be still ongoing at a cellular level. We're not just changing, we're continuing to evolve in response to need. It's as if the predecessors designed us to be infinitely adaptable." But not everything was proceeding smoothly. Reports came in of those who hadn't survived the transformation, mostly the elderly and very ill, as predicted. And some of the survivors were struggling to control their new abilities, causing localized incidents around the world. "We need to focus," Alex projected through the network. "The Vor'kath aren't just coming to terraform our planet, they're coming to seed it with their own bioengineered life forms. We have to be ready. Through the collective consciousness, he shared everything Zar-El had told him about the Vor'kath, their weaknesses, their tactical patterns, their technology. The transformed humans absorbed this information, processing and analyzing it with their enhanced minds. They rely heavily on biological technology, General Martinez observed, her military training enhanced by her evolved intellect. Their ships are essentially living organisms that could be exploited. Exactly, Alex agreed. And now we have people who can interface directly with biological systems. We can turn their own technology against them. The next few hours were spent in intense preparation. Around the world, transformed humans organized into defense groups based on their new abilities. Those who could manipulate energy prepared to engage the ships directly. Others with enhanced physical capabilities readied themselves for ground combat if needed. The most strategically minded coordinated through the network, developing complex battle plans that adapted in real time. But the most surprising development came from an unexpected quarter. A group of transformed children in Mumbai discovered they could collectively generate massive energy fields. Similar groups around the world began practicing this ability, creating protective barriers that could potentially shield entire cities. The predecessors knew what they were doing, Dr. Wilson marveled, studying the readings. Each individual transformation seems precisely calibrated to create a balanced defensive system when working together. We're not just becoming more advanced, we're becoming a unified planetary defense system. Alex felt a sudden shift in the collective consciousness, a wave of anticipation and determination swept through the network as the Vor'kath fleet entered visual range from Earth's surface. Their massive bioships darkened the sky, casting ominous shadows over the transformed planet below. Through the network, he sensed humanity's readiness. Fear was present, but it was overshadowed by a deep, ancestral confidence, as if their transformed DNA recognized this moment from millions of years ago when the predecessors faced similar challenges. They're about to begin atmospheric insertion, he announced, both verbally and through the network. Everyone in position? The response came as a unified wave of affirmation through the collective consciousness. Humanity was ready. The Vor'kath were about to discover that their routine conquest had become something very different. As the first bioship began its descent, Alex felt a surge of pride in his transformed species. In just hours, they had gone from facing extinction to preparing for their first interstellar battle. The real test was about to begin. The future of Earth would be decided in the next few hours, but one thing was already clear: humanity had changed forever, and the galaxy would never be the same. When humanity strikes back. The first Vor'kath bioship never saw the attack coming. As it descended through Earth's upper atmosphere, a coordinated burst of energy from 50 transformed humans stationed in the Himalayas struck its biological hull. The massive vessel shuddered, its living tissues reacting to the unexpected assault. Direct hit, Alex Chen announced through the collective consciousness. Multiple breaches detected in their bioarmor. Through their enhanced senses, the transformed humans could see the damage at a molecular level, the ship's regenerative systems struggling to adapt to an attack it had never encountered before. The Vor'kath response was immediate and brutal. The remaining ships released swarms of smaller biological entities, combat drones that looked like a nightmare fusion of insect and machine. They descended toward Earth in thick clouds, darkening the sky. But humanity was ready. Around the globe, the children's energy barriers snapped into place, creating geodesic domes of pure force over major population centers. When the first wave of drones impacted these shields, they dissipated into organic vapor. They're adapting, Dr. Wilson warned, monitoring the biological signatures. The second wave will be stronger. His transformed intellect was processing data at incredible speeds, predicting attack patterns and weaknesses. Alex watched through the collective consciousness as humanity's defenses responded. In orbit, the transformed ISS crew had learned to project energy fields that disrupted the Vor'kath's biological technology. On the ground, those with enhanced physical abilities stood ready to engage any forces that breached the shields. The battle escalated quickly. The Vor'kath, realizing their initial attack had failed, launched their primary weapon, massive spores, designed to begin the terraforming process. These biological bombs would normally have released atmosphere-altering organisms across the planet. Instead, they met something unprecedented. A group of transformed humans in Brazil, led by a former botanical researcher, had discovered they could communicate with and control biological systems. As the spores descended, they were hijacked and reprogrammed, their genetic codes rewritten in real time. Remarkable, Dr. Wilson breathed, watching the data stream. We're not just fighting them, we're evolving faster than their weapons can adapt. The predecessor's DNA is responding to each new threat, teaching us how to counter it. The Vor'kath fleet, faced with unexpected resistance, began to regroup. Their ships formed a complex geometric pattern high in the atmosphere, preparing for what appeared to be their primary assault configuration. Through the network, Alex felt a surge of determination from humanity's defenders. Around the world, transformed humans began moving into new positions, coordinating through their shared consciousness with an efficiency that would have been impossible hours ago. They're charging their main bioelectric weapon, General Martinez announced, her evolved senses detecting the energy buildup. If it hits the atmosphere, it could still trigger the changes they want, even without the spores. But humanity had one more surprise in store. Through the collective consciousness, Alex coordinated the most ambitious counterattack yet. Transformed humans around the globe began channeling their energy upward, not in destructive bursts, but in a carefully calibrated frequency. Now, he projected through the network. Millions of minds focused as one, their combined power reaching toward the Vor'kath fleet. The energy they projected wasn't meant to destroy, it was meant to communicate. The Vor'kath bioships, designed to interface with biological systems, suddenly found themselves connected to a planetary consciousness they hadn't known existed. Through this connection, humanity shared everything, their transformation, their determination to survive, and most importantly, their unwillingness to be conquered. The effect was instantaneous. The living ships, overwhelmed by the unexpected contact, began to lose cohesion. Their rigid battle formation dissolved as the vessels struggled to process the flood of information and emotion. Their ships are alive, Alex explained through the network. And now they're talking to us, instead of their pilots. Through their connection, they could sense the confusion and fear from the Vor'kath commanders as their own ships began to disobey orders, some even starting to descend peacefully toward Earth. The Vor'kath flagship, however, wasn't ready to surrender. It launched a desperate final attack, diving toward the planet's surface while charging its weapons to maximum capacity. If they couldn't have Earth, they would try to render it uninhabitable. Everyone together, Alex projected. Around the world, transformed humans joined their consciousness and power into a single unified force. The children's protective barriers expanded upward, merging into a planetary shield. Those with energy manipulation abilities added their power to strengthen it. The flagship's weapon discharged, releasing enough energy to reshape a planet's biosphere. It met humanity's combined shield in a collision that lit up the sky like a second sun. For a moment, the outcome hung in balance. Then, through their combined consciousness, humanity pushed back. The shield didn't just block the attack, it reversed it, sending the energy back into the flagship's biological systems. The massive ship's living hull couldn't handle the feedback. It began to break apart, its pieces burning up in the atmosphere while its crew fled in emergency pods. As the Vor'kath flagship disintegrated, the remainder of their fleet surrendered. Through their connection with the living ships, humanity established communication with the invasion force. The message was clear: Earth was no longer a primitive world ripe for conquest. It was home to something new, a species that had claimed its evolutionary inheritance and would not be subjugated. But even as humanity celebrated their victory, Alex and others felt something stirring in their evolved consciousness. The defeat of the Vor'kath wasn't an end, it was just the beginning. Their transformation had awakened something deep within human DNA, ancient memories and knowledge left by the predecessors. They had survived and triumphed, but the real challenges, and opportunities, were just beginning. Humanity had taken its first steps into a larger universe, and nothing would ever be the same. Through the network, Alex sensed both excitement and apprehension. They had saved Earth, but in doing so, they had announced their presence to the galaxy in spectacular fashion. The Vor'kath were just one species among many, and Earth's transformation would not go unnoticed. As the adrenaline of battle faded, one question echoed through the collective consciousness: what next? Inheritors of the stars. 1 month after humanity's transformation and victory over the Vor'kath, Alex Chen stood on the observation deck of humanity's first true starship. The vessel, grown rather than built, was a perfect fusion of biological and technological systems, a direct result of their evolved understanding. Through the collective consciousness, he felt the presence of billions of transformed humans back on Earth, each continuing to discover new aspects of their enhanced existence. The changes hadn't stopped with their initial transformation. Humanity was still evolving, guided by the ancient knowledge encoded in their awakened DNA. The Galactic Concordat's delegation will arrive in approximately 10 minutes, announced Dr. Wilson, who had become humanity's leading expert on their new biological technology. His mind, like all of theirs, now operated on levels that would have been impossible to comprehend just weeks ago. The observation deck filled with key representatives of Earth's new unified government. General Martinez, now serving as Earth's defense coordinator, stood beside political leaders from various nations. Their previous divisions seemed trivial now, faced with their species' new reality. Hard to believe it's only been a month, Alex mused aloud. The changes on Earth had been staggering. Cities were being redesigned with organic architecture that responded to residents' needs. Disease was becoming a thing of the past as people learned to consciously control their cellular processes. Even the environment was healing as transformed humans learned to communicate with and restore damaged ecosystems. The ship's living systems alerted them to approaching vessels. Through the vast window, they watched as 3 ships of the Galactic Concordat emerged from fold space. Their design was different from both the Vor'kath bioships and humanity's new vessels, crystalline structures that seemed to bend light itself. Receiving transmission, announced one of the communications officers, though officer was an inadequate term for someone who could mentally interface with multiple communication frequencies simultaneously. The image of Zar-El appeared, though this time addressing humanity as equals rather than primitives in need of saving. Greetings, children of Earth. The Concordat Council awaits your representatives. As the human delegation prepared to board the Concordat vessel, Alex reflected on the incredible journey that had brought them here. The defeat of the Vor'kath had been just the beginning. In the weeks that followed, humanity had begun to understand the true scope of their inheritance. The predecessors, they had learned, hadn't just been another advanced species. They had been the first sentient race in the galaxy, and they had seeded countless worlds with the potential for intelligent life. Earth wasn't their only project, but it had been one of their most ambitious, a species designed to eventually inherit all of their knowledge and capabilities. Through their transformed DNA, humans were gradually accessing this vast repository of information. Early fears about losing their humanity had proved unfounded. Instead, they had become more fundamentally human, more compassionate, more creative, more determined to explore and understand. The Concordat ship's docking procedure was seamless. As the human delegation walked through its crystalline corridors, Alex noticed how different it felt from their first contact experiences. Now they could understand the advanced technology around them, could even see ways to improve it. The Concordat Council chamber was a vast space that seemed to exist partially in higher dimensions. Beings of various species sat in a circular arrangement, their forms ranging from energy constructs to physical entities unlike anything in Earth's biological record. Humanity, spoke the council leader, a being of pure light, you have exceeded all projections. The activation of the predecessor sequences was expected to take generations. You accomplished it in hours. We had good motivation, Alex replied, serving as humanity's primary spokesperson. And we've only begun to understand what we're capable of. Indeed, another council member added, this one appearing as a crystalline matrix of thought patterns. Your species has exhibited remarkable stability with the transformation. No other seeded world has managed such a smooth transition. The Council proceeded to formally recognize Earth as a full member of the Galactic Concordat. But more importantly, they confirmed what humanity had already begun to suspect: they were not simply another member species. As inheritors of the predecessor legacy, they had a unique role to play. The Vor'kath invasion was not random, Zar-El revealed. There are forces in the galaxy that have long sought to prevent the rise of predecessor inheritors. Your emergence changes the balance of power significantly. Alex shared this information through the collective consciousness with the billions back on Earth. Their response was not fear, but determination. They had not come this far to be stopped by ancient rivalries. "We understand the responsibilities that come with our inheritance," Alex declared to the Council. "And we're ready to face whatever challenges lie ahead." The meeting concluded with the establishment of new protocols for humanity's integration into galactic society. But everyone present understood that Earth would not simply be assimilating into the existing order. They were bringing something new, the first true inheritors of the predecessor legacy, combining ancient knowledge with human innovation and determination. As the delegation prepared to return to their ship, Alex felt a new surge of excitement through the collective consciousness. Humanity had already begun planning their next steps, establishing colonies on other worlds, developing their new abilities, and preparing to defend other developing species from threats like the Vor'kath. The universe had changed them, but they were changing it right back. Humanity had not just survived, they had claimed their place among the stars. And they were just getting started. Looking back at Earth through the ship's living windows, Alex saw their transformed world glowing with new life and purpose. The predecessors had given them the tools, but what they built with those tools would be uniquely human. The collective consciousness hummed with possibilities as humanity prepared to take its first true steps into the cosmic community. They had faced extinction and emerged stronger. They had confronted an alien invasion and turned it into an opportunity for growth. Whatever came next, they would face it together, as a species reborn. The age of transformed humanity had begun, and the galaxy would never be the same.